Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. I hope you guys had a wonderful Go Fest. So now, I'll be doing like a Go Fest review later. I do have a little bit of footage, but I was so busy grinding, I'm pretty sure like a lot of you did, that I really wasn't thinking about like, hey, I'm gonna make a YouTube video or anything like that. No. I I hope you guys got something good. I got a lot of good stuff that I IV'd this morning, and it was great to see like what I got and then what I can use for the future. And I hope you guys got some good stuff too, especially for PvP, because this is what this video is going to be about. So today's video is, since I am taking a look at it anyways, is just the pvpoke.com. So there's the updates on the moveset changes. So they're officially live as of season 3 starting. I hope you guys, your season 3 battles, if you haven't done them yet, I hope they go well. They already did. I hope you went like 25-0. So it's definitely an interesting season, but the usual like the things you saw if you played Great League before season 3, it should be close to the same or relatively the same, at least the majority of patterns. There's some new spice out in town and some new things people are testing out or may have been popular already. That's why we're taking a look at them today. Anyways, let's get started. Alright, so this is the data from Pokeminers. Check them out, follow them on Twitter. They will give you a lot of good information. They release a lot of stuff that's like comes out right away, and it's really like to the T. Like in 5 seconds they will drop like the latest and greatest stuff if it's noteworthy, and they should give it, and it's like hot. It's like super hot. So what's hot is these new move updates. So as you see right here, they have a pretty sweet infograph, and it's really good because it shows you the damage, the energy, the buffs. There's a lot of things that change and like don't change. So I took out the PV. So just ignore the PVE aspect of it. Right now we're gonna look at we're pretty much just looking at the PvP aspect of it. So I see Drill Puck went from 60 to 65 as far as damage goes. That's not too massive. A lot of these changes that you see, other than probably like 2 or 3 moves, it's not a massive buff. They'll make a lot of a difference in a 1 HP in a dream scenario, but you don't want a 1 HP in a dream scenario, but some of them actually are really good because they add up. For example, the Hex and Infestation. If you see Hex and Infestation, their energy changed from 11 to 12. Now, 1 point doesn't make a difference, doesn't seem like it's much of a difference, but it's actually a lot. So if you run a Sims with a lot of those mons, now you get, for example, for Hex, if you have Drift Blimp, you get the Icy Wind faster. That's really good. For Infestation, if you have things like Fortress, you get the Mirror Shot faster. That 11 to 12 actually matters a lot. So it's basically like a Confusion clone now, which is I was hoping it'd be something like a Bullet Seed, but like Bullet Seed or Snarl, where it's 13 energy, but 12 is good. Like 12 is still good. Better a buff than no buff. And that makes Driftblim really good for Go Battle League now. Even in Great League, it's very good. Now the moves that like this kind of like, that's one of the big notable ones. The big notable one was Brave Bird 2, where it went from 90 to 130, and now it's a -3 defense at 100% chance. A 40-point attack damage bonus is a lot. Now Brave Bird can successfully KO a lot of things it didn't KO before. Yes, you get that defense drop. However, you can kind of switch out of that. And if you do need that extra bit of chip damage to like nuke something, Brave Bird does well. Compared to stuff like I'd say like Drill Peck. Drill Peck wasn't like, yeah, that's freaking Drill Peck. So yeah. But with Drill 5 points doesn't make a whole lot of difference. The good thing is Empoleon now has Drill Peck, so now you have coverage against fighters, which is really good. The problem is that that's not much of a buff. A 5 points difference, unless you're going for like a 1 HP in a dream scenario, that's really close compared to like Brave Bird, where it's a 40-point difference. So 5 points of damage, not that great, like I said. It's good, but it's not great. Like you would have to run a lot of simulations and a lot of practice to see how Drill Peck would really benefit you in the long run. The biggest thing about Drill Peck was probably because Empoleon got it, so that's probably the best thing about Drill Peck. Powder Stone and Blizzard were also buffed. Powder Stone went from 4 to 5. That's really good considering that a little extra bit of damage does stack if you get stabbed plus like weakness or something like that. And that's where Abomasnow really got like its Abomasnow and Frostless. It kind of stacks, so that extra fast damage that goes from 4 to 5 now stacks. So it is a good change. Same thing with Blizzard. 10 points doesn't seem like it makes a difference. However, in 10 points, depending on like what you're facing and like how dead it is, like 10 points can make a huge difference. But the keyword is can. Like 10 is good. 10 is good. 10, like the Powder Snow and Blizzard buff is really good. Now the things that got nerfed were Flash Cannon, Focus Blast, and Moon Blast. Now Flash Cannon, Focus Blast, obviously they're targeting freaking Registeel. Registeel's still good. It's 5 more energy, which means you'll take about 3 more lock-on, 2 or 3 lock-ons, depending on like how the battle goes. But that's kind of bad because those 2 or 3 lock-ons you can use to squeeze out a little bit of extra like HP from Registeel, depending on what you're fighting, matters a lot. And it's the same thing with Focus Blast. Focus Blast got down 10 HP. Now that doesn't seem like a lot, but 10 HP in the like final like damaging scenario, if you run the Sims on Focus Blast like for Registeel, it does make a difference depending on what you're facing. Like all of these buffs and debuffs are obviously depending on what you're facing, but that Flash Cannon and Red Focus Blast, that's obviously for Registeel. And the long-awaited debuff for Moon Blast. 30% was way too high. We all agreed on that. Now it's a 10% chance. That's a lot more viable. Of course, if it happens, it happens, but 30% chance to a 10% chance, I will definitely take that compared to what it was before. 30% is way too high, and a lot of people would just rely on Moonblast debuffing because it was so high. Now it's a very noticeable difference for people whenever they're using Cresselia Moonblast on you to where it goes to only 10%. And that's how it is. Overall, the Pokeminer stats, you can see it over here. There's the moves that were buffed, they are good. The moves that were nerfed, they were good too. Unless you like using Reggie, then it kind of sucks for you. Alright, so we're not actually doing training battles. As usual, pbook.com is amazing. If you guys want to donate, please consider doing so because it's an amazing website. You can donate right here if you'd like to contribute. So we're going to go dive straight into the rankings. I'm going to do this quickly because there's a lot to cover, but I'm only going to spend about 20-30 minutes covering stuff. And then I'm just going to like it'll like as I go off on a tangent, you'll understand it better. So as you see here, the BBML isn't really a surprise. We all knew Registeel would drop because Flash Cannon was kind of, as you saw in the data miners, it dropped a lot. So our new BBML, well, the new BBML is actually Azu, Stunfisk, and Tropius. That's actually the newest core because Tropius and Stunfisk just cover each other so well. As you see, Tropius covers Azu, all your Mud Boys, Deoxys Defense, Toxicroak, and Wishcash, all your fighters and pseudo fighters for the most part too, and Stunfisk covers everything else. So it covers Stunfisk is your anti-flyer. It's also somewhat your anti-steel and your anti-Tropius. It also beats Alola Marowak, which guess what's weak to Alola Marowak? It's Tropius. So because they cover each other so well, that's why that core is so strong. They feature 2 mons with incredible bulk. They charge really freaking fast, and they bury you in like 15 seconds if you don't have a defense or a contingency plan for them. But that's pretty much the BBML is going to be. Well, that is the BBML. That's pretty much. But there's just so many things that are viable. For example, you're still going to see Azumarill. Azumarill, as you see, is #1 overall now. It's everywhere because it's just that good. Through 3 seasons now, Azumarill has not been replaced as pretty much probably the best utility mon. You're still gonna have Altaria just because Altaria is still really freaking good. Altaria does beat Tropius. It does beat Swampert. It does beat DD. It beats Haunter. As you see, the key losses are over here. You also lose heavily against G-Fisk, so don't be fooled. Like G-Fisk, because it outpaced, as you see, you have a really weak matchup versus Stunfisk if you use Altaria. Any flyer, basically Stunfisk will pretty much run it over for the most part, just because Mud Shots generate Rock Slide energy so quickly. That's your general core. Like I said, you'll still see Altaria, you'll still see DD. Mantine and Umbreon. Now all these other things have play. I've seen Bastiodon leads like no tomorrow for some odd reason. But that's because Bastiodon it's still really good. Like Flamethrower does super effective damage against G-Fisk. You don't quite beat G-Fisk, like it's not that great, but as you see, you still have some very strong matchups. And another thing that I've been seeing in the lead is Shadow Machamp. This is your worst nightmare as a lead. As you see, it's 98.1. It's also overall as #10. You want to know why? You see this thing right here? It does a lot of damage. Shadow Machamp with Cross Chop, it's like every counter is pretty much a charm. Plus Cross Chop, you pretty much annihilate plus every matchup you said over here. Obviously, you lose against Azu and Deoxys D and Swampert, etc. It's not that bad though. It's still like depending on energy matchup, etc. Shadow Machamp does a ton of damage. Look out for it. Abomasnow got buffed, as you saw over there. Abomasnow is very powerful. It takes out the Azu, Alt, Swampert, Tropius, Venusaur. As you see, you're gonna lose against Flyers because even though Weather Ball is ice and everything, it doesn't. You're not gonna do a lot of damage because Skarmory Sky Attack and Brave Bird still do 2 super effective damage because Abomasnow is a Grass Mon. As you see over there, your key losses. I don't think you have to worry so much about Registeel, but you just got to be careful. Abomasnow is buffed. As you see, Registeel took a huge hit. It's still viable because Focus Blast didn't take too much of a gigantic hit as far as like it went down 10 damage. Now in some like 1 HP in a dream scenarios that does matter. But as you see, you still wall the crap out of every flyer. And you wall Cresselia and Umbreon, and you still do great about Charter. So Registeel, because the nerf wasn't as like oppressive as I thought, it's still really freaking good. And now Pelipper is another one. Pelipper, you do beat the Azu G. This does beat G-Fix. You beat Reggie, you beat Azu, you beat G-Fix. You also beat Tropius, surprisingly. Well, yeah, you do beat Tropius. If it's the Razor Leaf one, I think you do beat it as well. But as you see, it's a great switch. You still lose against Altara, DD, Skarmory, Cresselia, and Umbreon just because of they're thick. That's basically, it's thick. They're thick. So that's Pelipper. Pelipper, Abomasnow is 1. There's also that issue. There's also like a Snowy Castform. So Snowy Castform ranks at 23. Powder Snore got 1 damage more, and also there's Hex users, so like Drifblim. So plenty of stuff that was buffed. I went over there on the Pokemoners thing. It's like Skarmory. It's not super oppressive. I thought Hex and Infestation would be more of a beam, like it would be more of like a bullet seed kind of deal. But as you see, Infestation doesn't really help a lot. You still do very strong against some key matchups, but it's what it is. As you see, Infestation, Sludge Bomb, Ice Beam. The energy gain, I thought the energy gain, like some other battlers, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like a bullet seed. No, it's not like bullet seed. Anyways, the Lee's matchups kind of changed a bit. Well, not really. Mantine is still number 1. I'm still kind of perplexed. I know overall, like data-wise, this is why it matters. But at number 1, I believe Mantine does beat G-Fisk. However, Rock Slide still hurts a lot. So I wouldn't personally lead with Mantine. But these are your key wins. As you see, still very prominent matchups. You do lose against Azumarill. I believe even if you have Aerial Ace, just because Aerial Ace is a horrible move. But that's the... And also, Shadow Machamp takes its place as number 1 lead. This thing hurts a lot. So if you have a bad lead, well, you can always come back from a bad lead in Great League, but Shadow Machamp wrecks. It literally wrecks. It wrecks so hard. Especially during with Milump, it wrecks pretty hard. And you'll see a bunch of Azus. You'll see a bunch of Azus and Stunfisk. Those are still very prominent. Mudboys will still make its return. And you have the occasional Drifblim. Just because it does good against a lot of cores. As you see here, the Reggie Azu core, Swamperts, etc. And you got Vigorite, you got DD. You got the old and the new combined to create more of a pain in the butt than you thought you would have to encounter before. And it's just really painful. But that's the lead scenario. The most leads I've seen are Azus. The Tropius Stunfisk core, Azus, Stunfisk, Tropius. You also see Shadow Machamp to Oblivion. And Shadows in general. That are Haunter too. I've seen Haunters. Because of Grassly Community, Haunters are now more available. So you'll see a whole slew of new leads. The old and the new will combine. The new movesets aren't that bad. Like, they're not super oppressive. Just be careful for them and keep them in mind, though. And I would practice against them. As your closer, there's new closers in town. It used to be Reggie as a new closer. Now Shadow Electivire takes the number 1 place. Because Shields Down, Wild Charge slaps so hard. You have Shadow Electivire, Azu, Raikou, Registeel, etc. So as a general closer, you probably won't find a lot of people with a Shadow Raikou. You'll see a lot of Azus in the closer. Definitely a lot of Azus. I've seen a lot of Azus, Caleb Pangline. You'll see a lot of you'll see a lot of stuff in the closer. Regigice is interesting just because Blizzard got buffed. So because the Blizzard got buffed, I don't know if you needed Blizzard against Altaria anyways, because Blizzard will yeet Altaria in 1 shot. Interesting enough, it's because of Earthquake you beat Registeel. You also beat Tropius, Skarmory, and Hunter. even because lock on only does like 1 damage. You don't really have to worry about, oh, if it's resisted, it's okay. We just want you to generate energy so I can fire a bunch of lasers at you. Well, in this case, Regigigas doesn't use lasers. It just makes it really cold, or it leaves you quaking. Either one. But as you see here, it's like its G-Fisk is still prominent, but the closest scenario is interesting. Most of the time I've seen Azu. Most of the time you'll see Azu. Deoxys defense isn't a thing. Skarmory's, Altaria's, your general flyers, and just their general flyers. And that's pretty much what I've seen as far as like battling and watching like other streams. That's what I've seen so far. Your switches, DD is the #1, and rightfully so, because as I say it again, and as I hail it so much, Psycho Boost and Rock Slide is such a good moveset. If you know how to use Psycho Boost well, guess what? You beat all of these. You beat all of these. And you can still even beat Azu in certain scenarios, or you can burst shields because Psycho Boost is slaps. It's that freaking good. Don't sleep on the Psycho Boost. But that's the basis of Great League. We analyzed all the moveset changes from the Pokemoners portion, so if you want to go back there, I'll tell you my quick insight. This is kind of a quick insight too. As far as the meta or seeing your leads, like I said, Azu, Stunfisk, Tropius Core. Azu, Stunfisk, Tropius Core, you'll see Altarias, you'll see DDs, you'll see Shadow Machamps for sure, because Shadow Machamp just hurts really hard. And you also see Bastions. You'll see a slew of leads. Just be prepared for like any scenario, because literally any scenario could be thrown at you at this point. But as you see, overall, the matchups took quite a hit. But the new movesets aren't as oppressive as most people think. They're ranked pretty low. Like, they're still, in the hands of a good player, they can be really good. But as of right now, they're not as oppressive as you think. I've seen Regis today. People are going to run Reggie on you just because they know how to play it. Unfortunately, with that energy debuff, you're going to get thrown off a little bit. And that's pretty much, this is the summary for our PvP Poke analysis. And now let's go on to the overall summary. Alright, so I'm not going to go super deep into it. I'm just going to do a real short summary, especially of things that it affect. So with the moveset changes, Skarmory with Brave Bird is something to look out for. I've already seen it on GBL, and it's rightfully so, because Brave Bird does a lot of damage, and it can give you that last minute chip damage you need. It die Reggie, basically. Reggie's dead. Well, not dead. It's still usable. It's just not as good as before, just because those, even though it doesn't seem like that energy different matters, in certain matchups, it makes Reggie weaker. It's really, what needed to be nerfed was Lock On, not Flash Cannon or Focus Blast, because the Flash Cannon Focus Blast, that nerf hurts other Pokemon more than it would hurt Reggie. Because Reggie's stats don't change, it's still really good. And other than just getting a lock on Flash Cannon, it's still really good. It's still really good. Look out for it. It's still out there. And look out for other ideas for Hex, Powder Stone, Infestation. I can go into I'm going to go into more in depth on each move and why being buffed is, on how it's buffed and why it's good being buffed. But other than that, I'm not going to go into each mon. I'll do separate videos for them just because it's a lot easier, and it's a lot easier to go in depth separately for each individual Pokemon rather than do a big video and then just confuse the crap out of you. That's what summaries are for. Summaries are for short, clear, concise, and making it easy for you to understand. I don't like making things super complicated. I like being able to just tell you, summarize everything in a short video. Not really short video, but it's pretty short. And please like and subscribe and comment if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, you guys. Another thing I forgot to mention is Cresselia. We needed that debuff. Now Cresselia is a lot more balanced, so look out for that too. But I hope you guys have a great day. I will see you guys on my next video.